Alright guys, just kidding, I didn't break anything. I made it in, see? I'm in the Zoom meeting. Okay, so I don't know how fun this will be. I think it will be fun. Let's see. Okay. All right, China. Since you're so bored over there and nosy. Audio, video. Start video. Oh, join. Meeting passcode. Just when we're in. Okay. Piece that shit. Oh my gosh. Connecting. Hi, I made it. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. This happened with Chad though. Can you hear me? No? I can't hear you at all. I'm gonna go get my Bluetooth speaker though. That was the issue before. The host would like me to speak. I guess I was muted. I was muted. But now you're still muted, I think. I didn't learn lip language. Hold on, let me get the other speaker because maybe that's why I can't hear you. All right. I can hear you now. Yeah, okay. Nailed it. Hi, how are you?
Love it, yeah.
Thank you for your patience.
Of course, no worries. Technology can be a pain in the ass, believe me. I'm techie, but I know how it can go. Yeah.
Hold on, let me just go like this. So how's your Father's Day? Happy Father's Day.
Well, I'm just a godfather, but thank you. Of course, I got a couple of,
You have a father, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, it counts for something, right? I'm an uncle a lot. I've got 4 god nieces, like 2 nieces and like my friend's 2 kids, so yeah.
Great, what are you guys
How
up
are you?
to?
I'm glad we finally able to, yeah.
Yes, I'm great, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, this is like I say, it's technology. I'm techie, but it can still be a pain in the ass. So no, I'm glad you were patient too.
I'm not techie at all. I've always felt I haven't had a TV in 25 years, or probably 20 years, like since college. And I've always felt this like, you know, I've had 2 studios, I've had 2 businesses, but I've always felt this sort of like, I should keep like my arm's length to technology, like to almost everything. I don't know why. It's a funny thing. I don't think it's a bad thing that I don't understand like a lot of stuff. I'll figure it out, you know, and I don't get frustrated. But in a way, I guess a lot of people are so dependent on it. Like I would never live that kind of life. Like doing.
I'm the same way. I haven't had a TV in years in like my home office or bedroom or whatever. And
why? That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Did you just choose it?
I got away from it. I'm sorry?
You just chose like one, because most people have TVs. Like most people.
Oh, no.
You think more people don't? Like, do your friends have TVs?
Oh no. I'm agreeing with you. No, for sure. No, I got rid of it just because anything I can watch, I really can find it on the internet. You know what I mean? It's not that big a deal. Like I like older 90s sitcoms, maybe like Frasier or Seinfeld. I like the newer stuff. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and like Blue Bloods, and that's it. Other than that, TV is pretty negative to me. There's a lot of shit on TV, a lot of negativity on it, and I'm not about that. You know, the series I'm writing isn't negative, so it's I don't want to invite that. You know.
Well, do you have a way that you start? You know, we sort of just jumped in. Are we officially starting? I want to.
Yeah. No. What I'll do is this, and I always say, my little corny preamble is, out-talk me. Everybody wants to hear you for sure. They're all used to me. The reason why I look like this, like a moron, is because as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go right to the gym. That's like my therapy. That's my thing. So like that's just where I work out a lot of my extra energy, as you can tell. And yeah, conversational. We can go by like I have some notes or whatever, or we could just
Let's go by your notes.
Yeah. No. Well, what I'll do too is, as you can tell, I'm a little higher energy. So if I don't get it on the first take, we'll just I'll re-record it in post. So that's no problem.
Absolutely. I'm 25
All right, so
big ones. You can have me stripping. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, listen, at any port in a storm, that's too funny. Yeah.
No, that's my sister at the Improv for free.
Right. I was gonna say yes, and as they say, no, and I'm happy to, like I say, I know it's gas money, but
No, it's
like
amazing. I was just saying, like, I'd be happy to do this again if whatever. I love your energy, and
sure.
I think you're a great human.
Well, thank you. No, and I feel that same way from like I respect your energy, and I get like a good vibe from it as well. Because I know you've been through like a lot of shit, but you're taking the best from it, and I admire that in everybody and anybody, and I think we all can do that.
Thank you. Well, we spoke the other day for a little while. I actually mentioned you in a video how you were saying that you always felt it was the logical thing to be, or more pragmatic thing to be positive. And I was saying, we have to teach that, like, and, I think everybody's gone through stuff. So it's not for anything. We all choose how we're going to handle stuff. I think we all know that. But, and then the last thing, I lost my train of thought. Can you say what you just said?
I'll start with my lead-in notes, and then we could go from there.
No. I just want to finish a train of thought from what you just said. Oh, that you're positive. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, all the nice things that you said to me, thank you. I also believe that we can only see in other people what exists in us. So you're all of those things.
Appreciate it from the bottom, middle, and top of my heart. I know it's corny. No, I mean that.
It's not corny.
I do. We need. Well, thank you. All right, let me bring up. Hey, everybody, what is going on? Matt is back for another new Apathetic Vegan podcast. Now, to say I am high vibing to have this week's contributor on is an understatement, and I know Ashley Cummings will understand how living a positive and engaging life means, especially when you're doing kind of like a corny lead-in. So, as a yoga instructor and coach, an entrepreneur and healer, and so many more positive things, I'm so grateful, Ashley, for you sharing your time with me this week. So first, thank you for everything.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
For sure. No, and I really am. We're just talking pre-podcast, so we can talk about it now. It's you get back what you put out. It's basic law of attraction. Lack meets lack, abundance meets abundance. And we've all been through our journeys, good, bad, and in between. And I think as you've gone through your journey, you've taken the positive from all aspects of it, and that's all we can do. And then I feel that in you, you feel that in me, and I love that when you can vibe with somebody in the right way. Totally,
but I think it's very important to point out that it wasn't always, the stuff that you've been through, most that I don't know about, things that I've been through. It wasn't always pretty, you know what I mean? But it's how the journey is the destination, and it's how we land, you know what I mean? It's how we get up a little faster and a little bit less bitter each time, knowing that it's just this experience. And like you said the other day on the phone, it makes the most sense to be positive. I'm not a math person, but I would bet you mathematically you have better chances at making a better living at every sort of turn or what's the word I'm looking for, facet of life. There's never, I can't imagine a facet or a part of your life where it's going to serve you to have a fear-based, orientation or a negative orientation. But a lot of people they live there. Most thoughts have been shown, like 94 to 98% of thoughts are negative, self-deprecatory, redundant. I remembered my train of thought. Redundant and just nasty, like mean talking. But now I lost it again. Basically, we get to choose when we inevitably lose, whether we lose money, we lose a lover, we lose a friend, we lose family, like things that really, I think loss in this life, at least for a person like me who loves the way that I do, it's probably the hardest thing. Or even just being cheated out of something. These are things that everyone can sort of relate to. Yes, you get angry, you have your reaction. With time, those reactions get a little bit more graceful, and maybe some of them don't happen at all. But every person deserves respect to react to any situation that happens. But just making sure that in time we end up happy, and I always say positive pants, you know, even in the birthday suit. And my dad would always say, the best way to get enemies back, Ashley, like I didn't really have enemies. I had a lot of people that were jealous of me and stuff. Just keep going, just be happy, and just do your own thing. As well, he made me promise before he passed that I would never be bitter. I would always smile and always have a good time.
Or your siblings, your friends, your family.
I missed the first part of that, love. It must have been my speaker. Can you repeat it? Sorry.
No, for sure. Now, what better lesson could you give anybody in your family, you know, family, friends, coworkers, whoever, a stranger on the street, and just that, you know,
cool,
it's basic, but it's so true.
I mean, but I've come to learn, and especially in the last 2 years, like, I don't think everyone is like us. And not only that, like my dad and I used to argue all the time. He would say, Ashley, who do you trust? And I'd, no one, Dad. That was the answer I had to say. And I'd argue with him in our relationship. Dad, you know, there are good people. Like not everyone's bad, and not everyone is bad. But there are a lot more people that don't have the same, like grounded in heart, like loving practice, like day to day. They're not in alignment. Like their goals are not in alignment with peacefulness, with unity, with togetherness, with positivity, with there's enough for everybody. Not even that they have to share anything of theirs. I mean, I'm talking about a lot of stuff on a macro and then micro level, but it's just a time now where I think we're seeing the worst in people, but also like my heart, I feel like the whole planet has sort of been through a lot of trauma, and now we're just like pushing forward. And like if I hadn't been through a lot before, I don't know how I would deal with this world. Like, you know, anyone with anxiety I have empathy for, or, you know, the world stopped, and you would think a lot of people would do, like I heard from so many people, I reached out to so many people that I want to tell them that I love them. Anyone that I would like had any funky thing with, you know, like even from, I was like, you know, it's 2020, like we don't know what's going on, but not everyone did that. A lot of people hoarded toilet paper, and you know what I mean? And fought with people in the stores about, you know, having more. And so, it's beautiful that we're saying that, and that you would encapsulate that as great advice. I don't give advice out of love, but that's a different thing. But it's also, I think we have to sort of figure out like what we're dealing with in terms of people, because we're not all working with the same definitions of what's good for everyone. And it's a pivotal time that, you know, I guess we can rest on being positive, but it's also like, there's a lot going on. The point is, I used to assume, and I think we all do when we're younger, that everyone thinks this. Maybe I knew that I was a bit more loyal or a bit more loving, but that generally people didn't, like, you know, do bad things to kids or lies so much, or like all the things that I've just seen. And like, you know, it's kind of ironic. My sister used to say to me, Ashley, why do you still get surprised? Like when a bad thing would happen, like how are you still surprised? But I still do get surprised when I see people doing horrible things, you know? But so I love your platform, and I would love to like introduce like there's no uniters, you know? I talked about this in a video, like I was like, there's Trumpers, there's whatever the other people, the QBs. And then there's no one that's trying to unify people. So like good people that have basic stuff, like, okay, don't hurt kids. Any fuckery is mutually agreed upon fuckery between those two people that are above 18. You know, no the stealing, whatever, like basic stuff, and then everyone does their thing, you know? I don't know, I feel like it's super easy in terms of long term, but getting there is where we are now. And positive is part of it, but it's also like, you know, what kind of people are people? Does that make sense? It's a lot I just said.
No, it really does though. What is their base energy? Negative, ambivalent, or positive? And we all go through versions of that throughout our lives. But
Sure.
It's like, what your base level? I think that's where your standard operating energy will come out.
And I think, I guess moving forward, my intention is always to be of service. I want us all to win. I want to bring everyone, I work for God and that's it. And anybody that wants to, you know, get in touch with that kind of thing, I just got the chills, whatever the religion is, I want to be there to be of service. That's always been through my 2 yoga schools, through my life, who I am. But now I feel like, and it's interesting because I feel safer because I used to have 2 studios where public people would just come in all the time. And I've learned a lot about, you know, teaching 16 years about energy, but now thinking about, like when I'm putting out YouTube videos that are, you know, yoga related, or they're all to be of service, the intention of every video that I make. But I just feel like there's going to be, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, it's a time now where, like, I guess mean people need to go one way and nice people need to go one way. But there's like mean people that are duplicitous and weird, and we need to protect ourselves from them, but not harbor anything negative. Does that make sense? I'm painting a big picture of sort of an answer to your question, but also like where we kind of need to go, because I feel like we're all sitting around like talking and something's happening and we all need to come together and we all have the different pieces of the puzzle. Do you know what I'm saying?
You want to get it out yourself, where you want to be of service in a positive way through your yoga teachings and through your companies and whatnot, your studios. And I'm the same way, and I will not belabor this. I think we
you do it through your craft of acting and right?
Exactly, writing. Yeah, because just long story short, when I'm at the gym and you see all these TVs, it's all variations of some kind of negativity, whether it's local news. I'm in South Jersey, so the Philadelphia market, it's not great. National news, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, that's all just awful. And
it literally like attacks your organs. You know what I mean? Your adrenal glands.
Yes, and it keeps you like just doped up on like dopamine or like whatever, like, or it keeps you all hopped up on like cortisol and all negative and like just all the bad chemicals that are associated with that kind of energy. And I'm thinking what I want to do with this podcast and what I want to do with my dramedy series and just everything that I can do artistically, and everybody that engages their art in the way that they choose, God bless, Godspeed. There's just some stuff that I don't like the negative stuff. And I want to put out through my writing and my acting and my podcasting a positive energy. And again, I can imagine what you think. So, and I know a lot of people do kind of think it is cheesy or corny, and I get that. And like, I could break my own stones, you know, I have thick skin, but that's just how I want to get my energy out there, you know.
The thought I forgot twice was in the beginning, you said something about positive thinking, and this is something that I've read and I truly believe is 10 times or hundreds of times more powerful than negative. So I think, you know, a lot of people just don't know who they kind of even are. You know, I think it's amazing. I can feel that you have a grasp of yourself. When we get lost in negativity and we let those emotions drag on too long, they sort of linger in our energy. That negative stuff, it should be criminal, really, the news. Because that being said, so our self-talk is also the most important. Like, our subconscious listens to us more than anyone else. So, like saying like, you're awesome. Like, I always say my like autopilot thoughts. We can talk about that if you want. It's just like, thank you. Like, you know, you're amazing. Like, you know, things like that. And everyone will have their own, I think once you get to like a healed state where you've been through stuff, and it's not like stuff, I imagine stuff will still happen to me, but I know that everything is a blessing. And because of all the hard stuff I've been through, first of all, nothing was ever going to be harder than losing my dad. So since I was born. So nothing's going to be too hard, or there's going to be a solution. You know what I'm saying? And to have that kind of security in yourself, I think is priceless. Like, to have that kind of self-esteem, like Ashley's in charge of Ashley, and no one's better at taking care of Ashley than Ashley. You know what I mean? And with that, from that place comes all the opportunities and potentials and friendships and really magical things that happen no matter what, and no matter, and I love corny, by the way. Corny's very warm. I don't know if you're meaning that being facetious, but it's comfortable. I really liked what you sent me. I don't know if I'm supposed to mention it, but I'll talk about it another time.
Maybe I use corny as like a catch-all, where maybe it's a defense mechanism that I do it because, again, with how we are in my family, we all love each other. We're all
ball busters,
ball breakers. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to get that out. But it's just like, this part of the country, I've talked about that before, the mid-Atlantic, I'm in Jersey, New York, Philly, Boston. It's how we show love. So I have thick skin, and I'm always like the first, middle, and last one to bust my own stones. But in a weird way, that's how my self-love comes
It's
out.
part of your family, like, it's part of your,
right.
And that's an interesting thing that we all need to understand about each other, especially with like text. It's like, if you want to like not have a friendship, do text. Because that sounds like it's like a thread of your family and your heritage. And like, there are things that if people don't live around you, aren't familiar, like in the same sort of, I don't say tribe, but they are like social tribes. Like the way my family grew up, like it was in ball busting, but the way that we diffused pain was with humor. You know what I mean? In a different kind of way. And as we become adults, it's kind of interesting. Some people don't understand that, but I feel like anything that is in happiness, in laughter, in corny, I think I had to cross the line a long time ago. It surprises me because I don't think about it, how many of my friends are like, especially in the last like 4 or 5 months, my girlfriend's like, how do you just turn on the thing and start talking? Like, I have like blips and mistakes, but what's overriding any of my being nervous, even about maybe sounding like really out there with the first part that we talked about, what supersedes and is more important to me than any self-doubt I could have, or any like, maybe I sound stupid, maybe I look stupid, maybe whatever, is that I'm all heart, you know what I mean? And I'm bringing everything that I am, so whatever that is, and I'm all truth. And I think that, Maya Angelou, there's always a quote. I would teach classes like 45 people and just feel sometimes like Angela, because they can feel, it's Maya Angelou said, people won't remember what you said, they'll remember how you made them feel. And, I was watching something recently how it's literally like, even now, so more, I guess, because of text and stuff, 90% of communication is nonverbal. Oh, sorry. It's like the first second I can't hear you. I beg your pardon?
No, I was going to say, for sure, and it's only going to get worse from there as technology continues to develop, which can be good and bad. But I love how you said you're all heart, because I kind of see myself as that too, obviously in a different way. I'm a dude, I'm in my late 30s, again, Jersey. I have my sensibilities and my energies, and I'm a little hyper as guys my age go and whatnot, or guys in general. I guess kind of, I just embraced it. But that's why I always like to have a pre-call with these podcasts, so I get to know people, because I figure, let me give you the full mat on the phone or Skype, or Zoom, whatever, and go from there, because it just makes sense to me that a lot of people don't necessarily feel our type of energy, how you and I are. Now, maybe it's a little easier for women because it's just like maybe more stereotypical. You're an empath, but as a guy, when you're an empath, it's a little harder. And we talked about that before, but yeah.
Maybe. And then also I think maybe why, I'm not good at small talk in general, but maybe why I just jumped into all this stuff, because I guess I do have this long-term goal that we need to form, and I made videos about it, like communities, like if like the shit hits the fan, that like, have phone numbers, like you should have like good people that you could trust, like that if you could go somewhere if something happens, like we should have a network of like the good people. But I guess why I jumped into that is because the way that you found me on the MLC podcast, and that you felt, you know what I mean, a connection to me. So that's also because we don't get what we want in this life. We get what we are and what we're vibrating. You know what I mean? Without having gone through and faced a lot of pain, not pushed it away, not like done drugs, not done anything, you know what I mean? But faced it, felt it, whatever. Everybody has their stuff, and then come out to say it's a fucking blessing, and all I want to do is tell anybody that's in trouble that it will be okay. They just need to hang on. Does that make sense?
Stem to stern, it makes sense, and it doesn't have to be. I've belabored this a million times on this podcast for sure, but in general as well, it doesn't have to be difficult. But I would never judge anybody for going through the road, especially if it's a tougher road, you know, internalizing it in a way that I didn't. Now, like you lost your father, I lost my mother 10 years ago, and at that time, or 10 plus years, it was the hardest thing, really. I was blessed and lucky enough throughout.
How old were you? So you were like 29?
Yeah, I was almost 29, and she was a little over 70. And yeah, I mean, I was born when my parents were older when they had me on the last of 5. And yeah, it was a surprise. We talked about that before, but it was hard. It was hard because she was close with all of us, and she wasn't perfect, and none of us are who the hell of us is. But it's like she had heart. My mom, if it's one of the main things I could say about my mom, and like she had a lot of baggage just through virtue of like her side of the family, where she grew up in South Philly and whatnot. But us, you know, the 5 of us, my dad and all that, she had heart. And that's the one thing I take away from the positive and the negative and everything in between. My 28 years of knowing her as my mom was just her heart. And that's so important to realize with your family that's alive. And I'm sure you did with your father when he was alive and since he's been gone.
Totally.
You know, yeah.
I always say, and in my book, like, he taught me unconditional love. He didn't even realize it.
Sure.
Just by how he lived his life.
Yeah. Yeah, and just how to not cede yourself to the negative. Because in a sense, my mom did do that in a lot of ways. She smoked for...
People that are all heart, like, we get tramped on, like, and a lot of people, yeah. It's amazing that you say that, because and also smoking is directly related to heart. Like, when people smoke cigarettes, it alleviates pain in the heart. It does a lot of bad stuff too, but it's interesting that you said that, smoking. And that's one thing. I was watching something, my friend was like, I think I was telling you about the empath stuff that my friend was telling me about, like transmuting literally people's shit. So they can have really tough times, whether your mom was an empath or not. But it's so true, like nice guys finish last or whatever. Like, the system, like this beast system, not only does it not account for like your mom's side of the family or whatever you alluded to, there's some baggage, you know, my dad's side of it, we all have, first of all, 2 generations ago, everyone had it pretty fucking rough, you know what I mean? And, you know, and coming of age now in 2021, not coming of age, but being like 39 and being an adult, going through some shit, and like, I call bullshit on a lot of this stuff, which means that like we need to come together, you know? But about your mom, you're saying she smoked and she had a hard time. And she, oh yeah, that's another thing, letting go of shame and baggage, because that's, you know, part of, I would say, like the mean people, they don't feel guilt. They don't hold on to stuff because they don't feel. And when you hold on to stuff, it's not just like, you know, a little thing, like it affects everything. Does that make sense? Like everything is everything, and it's becoming so clear now. I think I was telling you how, like, I think everything's becoming more loving. Like, I think my fish and I are like my sucker fish. I'm always telepathic with my beta fish, but my sucker fish is like, yo, what up? I'm like, yo, what up? And he hangs. He's like, and he like does, I've never, you know what I mean? I just feel, if you feel it, there's an opportunity to sustain a vibration even higher. And I don't know where that's going, but it's very cool. And I feel like every connection is sort of to go towards that, or I don't think backwards, but a lateral step, if that makes sense.
to just get yourself out there, especially if you're a creative or an artist. I mean, that's where my mind goes automatically, is just the, as that guy myself. And again, I always emphasize, I don't mean to criticize anybody else's art, but like, I don't like horror movies. I don't
think that they're good for the brain.
How could they be? How could they be? My brother and I live together, and he watches a lot of that shit. And I just literally, I'll have my headphones on, I'll be out there zoned out to some music or a podcast as I'm like walking by or whatever, doing laundry. It's blah, blah, blah.
But also it's like, sorry, go. You'll be doing laundry.
No. Yeah, as I'm doing laundry, and just, I just don't want to be exposed to that. And it's funny, I was like that as a kid too, where like a lot of that shit would scare me. Yeah, exactly. And now I don't get scared necessarily as an adult, but I don't want to engage it to begin with. So I figure, since I want to be a filmmaker, I want to put it out there, and I want to get like a lot of what I'll put out there is going to be suspenseful. But it's going to be suspenseful. I don't know. It's just it's a whole thing. But
there's a difference between suspense and horror. I remember being a kid too, and my dad would say, Ashley, like there's men behind there, they're making all this, it's a complete movie. I said, it doesn't matter, I still can't like go to the bathroom by myself for a week, Do you think that there's something like, because also, I don't know, there was this weird there's a bunch of sources that I extrapolated. This was a while ago, I was looking this up, but like that there are higher rates of, God forbid this on your brother, but of like cancer and stuff like that, of dis-ease, we think of that word, not disease, dis-ease, and like there's an incongruency, and it makes sense because but I think at different strokes, different folks, and we all have different brains, that there are higher rates of people that listen to like death metal and watch horror movies. And I was gonna say, does your brother have a darker personality? Because I think maybe some people it just doesn't affect them. But me, do you remember that one movie? I think it was called The Ring. And they it was so scary, but they didn't show anything, the closest thing to blood. The directors got critically acclaimed for how it was all the music, and you were scared as fuck, but the worst thing they showed was a brown bathtub or something like that, but just how they did it was so scary. And I know that has to do something to your neural pathways, or maybe not all of us, you know what I'm saying?
Kind of a very negative individual, at least not all the time.
He is, your brother?
I'm sorry?
You said your brother is a negative individual?
Yeah, he certainly does have a negativity within him that very much counters my positivity, and it's just how we're wired. Like I said, I'm the last of 5. They're a lot older than me, so
out of 5, you guys probably all have to have your different characters, and
Oh, for sure, and our different personality types, and and all that. And again, he's got a good heart, but he just watches a lot of that crap. And it doesn't really bother him. It doesn't, because he obviously watches it all the friggin'
Well,
time.
the other thing is repetition is what you do, you're going to continue to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
28 days.
Crash out, positive end. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, I was just saying that your brother might, just because he's been doing it forever, he's not probably going to think to stop, Why would you, think about it the other way, why would you stop thinking being positive? He probably sees your positivity as I'm this conjecture, but as annoying or something,
Yeah. If nothing else, we're certainly used to each other. We've known each other my whole life. And it's a good counterbalance, really. And I've learned, but it's that's why I'm ready to really get back out to your neck of the woods, get back out to California. I was there a bunch of times over the last few years to pursue my project. I think that's my life.
It's the best time to get an apartment. I've never seen so many for rent signs.
Oh, no, that's good to know, because I want to, again, God love him, I love him, we all love each other in my family again, but it's sometimes when there's always that yin and the yang when it comes to energy levels, I really need to break away, maybe get around people my speed.
Tell me what you're thinking about. Hold on, are you really thinking about moving to LA? And tell me more about what would be your perfect, visualizing, maybe not the tech, the logistics of getting to LA or even LA, but what is your perfect sort of situation in terms of your writing and your dramedy?
Yeah, I could truncate it and just say working on that. It's
just being out here and that whole thing, vibing with the people that are doing the same thing. That's the thing that I think the one thing that makes LA work. You know, people coming out here like wanting to do this and wanting to do that, like that never works, you know? But like when people know that they're coming to do a certain thing, there is that energy and you're like hooked onto it, you know?
Like we do have at least some of my nephews and nieces, my oldest brother, my sister, and I kind of have like that artist gene, that you know, that DNA part, whatever. I'm now
left brain, right? Like you're more left brain.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You took the words out of my mouth, perfect. And that's like, again, my oldest brother, musician, my sister Victoria would get into dancing and my sister was into dancing and choreographing.
Choreography, that's very cool. I minored in dance.
Choreography, thank you. Yes, exactly. And she did all that. And then me as the writer, my whole life, passion and profession, and now acting as well. And like I say, a couple of my nephews and nieces are into it too, and I think it's great. And I want to engage that in a way that South Jersey doesn't exactly allow. Now,
I was going to say, what's around there now that's available, or that, because I know a lot of creative people are there.
Yeah.
And you're not that far from New York, right? Sorry.
Right, I was exactly. I'm like 2 hours away, and I've been in and out of there, the city, a lot recently too. And I've made like a lot of contacts and networks and friends and contributors through this podcast as well. A lot of them in the city, and I love that vibe, that energy, that attraction, and it means a lot to me. But it's like if I'm really going to manifest a series, and I'm right there, I'm transmuting my energy, I'm focused and motivated. And I'm visualizing it, and it's going to happen. It really is. And
yes, it is.
I was reluctant to even say this like a year or two ago. Yeah, exactly. We're raising our arms. No, but I was reluctant a couple years ago to say that because I still thought it would happen, but I didn't want to necessarily spit up in the air, if that even makes sense, and like have it maybe not happen or come off arrogant, because I'm a lot of things, good, bad, and in between, but I'm not arrogant. And I have people telling me I should be more arrogant, and I'm like, I'm not that guy. Screw it. I never want to be. I don't have that gene. It is what it is.
Well, there's a difference between arrogance and okay, go ahead.
No, and confidence, yeah. And it's just when it comes down to my series, I'm very confident, and I can't wait to get it out there. So it's going to happen.
I believe in timing. Like you feel now, it's the timing. Right?
Yes. Yep.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for you. Let me know if you need any help when you're out here.
Oh, for sure. Oh my God. Just X, Y, and Z, and A, B, C, and D. I know I'm being cheesy there, but it's like, well, it's weird. We could wrap it up on this because I very much get the impression we could talk for hours just about
totally.
Stuff, but
we might have to do another one. We have to re-listen the whole. I think you're gonna get it when you listen again. But like I said, I don't know if they will.
Well, hopefully the listeners, when anyone new that's to this podcast, will see that we're just high energy, creatives, positive individuals that are vibing from across the nation, you know.
Yeah, and also I think more than, and there's no apology, but more than that, there's no small talk. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about, you know, we're not talking about the weather.
No, for sure. And I could talk about the weather too. See, I could be a small talker. My dad certainly is that guy in the family.
Well, there's a way, but then again, with the body, you have to go back to what you were saying though. But with the body language being 90% nonverbal, sometimes when you talk about the weather with somebody, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying for the purposes of this podcast, our content wasn't going to be the weather.
No, for sure.
You know, my dad and I used to talk about the dogs, but we were telling each other how much we loved each other instead of saying that over and over, you know?
No, I love that, and that preaches to me. That preaches to my heart, you know.
When did you know you were an empath?
Oh, when I was a kid. When
I don't know that I am one. People have told me that I am and explained it to me. Sorry.
No. Please, just. I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't intellectualize it the way I do now, obviously. As
like when you were a kid, like 5 or 10? Or...
Yeah. I just took a lot more than I should have, and it messed with my energy. And the weird way that I realized...
Took a lot as in like you took other people's stuff.
Good, bad, and in between.
But see, other people would think, see what I'm saying? Words are interesting as well. Other people would think you might have meant, you know, if they're coming from that frame of mind, they might have thought you meant I was taking so much and I just felt bad. Do you see what I'm saying? I knew that you meant you were taking on too much, like doing too much for others probably. etc. Running yourself like what do they call it? When you when you're on the red, whatever, you run yourself dry or tired. So you realized that like in high school or something?
That more so as I got older, because
that you were taking on this stuff, that intellectualization.
No, exactly. And it just messed with me because I didn't understand how to internalize it, because one of the things that I learned from it, and what my standard operating energy was and is positive, is the fact that when you're around enough negative people and positive people and in between, I always just felt this need to focus on the good. I would have people that I work with, and then family members and everybody in between, like, Matt, why are you so happy? And I never saw myself as this happy.
You just felt normal, right?
Yeah, to me, it was just normal. I was never overly happy, like always bouncing around, head in the clouds, just toxically positive or whatever. That was never me. It was just like, it just made sense to me to focus on the good. And because it was internal, it didn't take much for me to get that energy out of me, the positive out of me, and to be happy. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, because your point of reference, always where you were coming from, was positive and like looking for positive. So your brain was literally trained for that. Like, I think the important takeaway for this should be, how would you teach that? Because now you realize that it's not normal. Your friends were asking you in high school, and then I'm sure as you're older, people have been like, and my mom said yesterday that one of her like friends, like she's talking to her, Ashley's doing great, she's so beautiful and she's so happy. And my mom's friend Karen, who I know from forever, she's like, what's her secret? What's her secret? She asked, what's your secret? But like, what's our secret? What's your secret?
God, it just engage the better energy within you. If you don't necessarily have it, or you're in a bad situation, take baby steps. Take the little things if you can, but don't lose sight of those little things.
But what are they incentivized if they're grounded in an apathetic perspective of the world or a negative perspective? How are we incentivizing them to want to change what they've been repeating, which is what is familiar, which is, comfortable?
Themselves somehow, some way, if they can. I don't see how, because I know people that don't have bad hearts, but that do engage the negative all the time in their own way. And again, it's not active per se, if this even makes sense. It's not active so much, but I can at least see, and maybe I'm getting a little more beyond being an empath, where now we're really getting out there, but it's like I can just tell.
We should do a summit.
Yeah, go with my God.
Sorry, you could just tell why.
Oh yeah, by how by their output, by their emotional output, by what they engage. Again, my brother's a great example. Not a bad guy, but he watches a lot of bad shit on TV. So I'm like, dude, why are you engaging that? He's like, oh, I'm desensitized. It doesn't even bother me. I'm like, that's not good. It should bother you. All that crap.
And even if he's joking, saying that, the brain hears everything. And like we said, the brain trusts your voice more than anyone else's. People can literally gain weight by telling themselves that they're fat.
Right. And they could be as skinny as you and I, but yet they don't think so, or body dysmorphia. And that's another example, just of all the issues we have as people.
The brain is so powerful.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah. And that I didn't realize early on either until now. And that's why I'm engaging the law of attraction, and obviously like transmuting my energy, and just, motivating myself to just focus on the good. And that's it. That's like my secret. It's really not a secret. It's just be honest with yourself. If you can make the negativity work for you, I don't see how, but if you can, fine. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel that, okay, if you're in a bad relationship with someone, or you're young and you're stuck at home with your parents and they're negative, again, you do what you can, but don't lose that fire and that motivation to do better and be better than the most negative person in your life. Be better than him or her or them. If that
this is for the people that want to hear it. What would you attribute your happiness and your internal your internal baseline of positivity to? If you could pick like one thing, like
Jeez.
or person,
Fate.
or
Destiny. I think just destiny. Like it's just how I'm wired. DNA. You know what I mean? Nature and nurture. If I was raised in a different family, different part of the country, different time period, who knows? Same thing with you. Like what does it for you? Like what is that one thing if you compare?
A connection with God, and my connection with God that I've had since I was very little, and a feeling really close to, it's what I call God, and then also the resilience. Like everything I am good is from my father, you know, from having the unconditional love and support of one human being for my entire life.
Love it. Love it. And what better message on Father's Day too? Am I right?
Happy Father's Day. So we should do this again. That was fun.
Absolutely. Well, Ashley, yes, let's definitely do this because what I want you to do really quick is please plug any and all of your projects, media, anything else you want to get out there, because I think I want to do everything I can to help. Just do that.
I love you. Thank you. Well, I just found out about Patreon. So I have a Patreon. It's Patreon/AshleyYoga420. I'm 99% sure. But my my YouTube channel is Ashley Yoga 420. And my Instagram is @AshleyCummingsYoga, but I don't do much there.
That's all right. All right, what I'll do is this. I will wrap it up. I'll stop recording, and we can talk for a minute off podcast if you're good.
Okay. Thank you guys for listening. Matt's awesome, and it was really an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
And Ashley, thank you so much too. I love your energy and everything that you brought to this. So once again, can't wait to have you back.
The feeling is so mutual. Thank you. My pleasure. Love you.
For sure. Bye-bye. Okay.
Cool.
There you go.
I recorded that on my